Now, in our last installment here of this blog on new literacies, we looked at the future of new literacies, and in a way, we're going to look back to look ahead. Now, as I look back, I examine the thoughts and ideas that have emerged of my learning of new literacies during this course. And one common theme was that of change, changing the way we teach our students and engage them. I look back on the conversation that I had about handwriting, and that really struck me, and the struggles that I was seeing with students in Nunavut. It seemed that their frustrations with printing could easily be overcome by typing or texting their feelings. So I wondered, is handwriting going to be a thing of the past? Certainly there are arguments for handwriting, but none that I could see with the changing technologies that would convince me to employ it as mandatory practice in my classroom, which, I mean, struck me as really profound. Well, what if I move completely over to texting? I suppose in classrooms limited through the availability of typing formats, there would exist the need for a pen and paper, but otherwise I think that I would replace handwriting with typing. Now, I don't do this lightly, mind you, but watching the students struggle for several minutes to produce just a few words that certainly did not adequately reflect their broad scope of their views and understanding. I remember one student, I gave him my laptop, and he much difficulty in printing. I think he had done like 2 words in probably probably 5 or 6 minutes. I gave him the laptop, and he was able to type away. I mean, he was finger picking and getting the individual letters, but you know, he was actually being able to communicate more effectively than he would have if he was sticking with the old pen and paper, which I found exceptionally interesting. And I strongly believe that students need to be able to express themselves readily and as unimpeded as possible by frustration of the media that they're expressing themselves through. So I'm concerned with the ideas and perspective of my students far more than I am through their ability to handwrite. Now, as we look at the new literacies of the future, what are they? Well, personally, I'm curious as to see what happens when the new literacies become the old literacies. What will they be replaced with? I've mentioned the gentleman Ray Kurzweil in his book The Singularity is Near. And if the name Kurzweil sounds familiar, it is. He's the developer of educational systems. The Kurzweil computer programs that allow students to be able to have text read back to them and can track records for the students, as well as a camera that he took pictures of, or can take pictures of text, and it can read to you. So someone who's sight impaired would be able to use those sort of technologies. So the man's quite an interesting character when it comes to the invention and the movement towards softwares and new technologies. And he describes that the potential growth of technology's ability and the reduction in size, and basically casts a line of sight to the future of education. And wow, does it look different from today. Artificial intelligence research is currently being developed to help create more realistic and interactive virtual worlds in classrooms. So it may well be one day, and this according to Kurzweil, that not that far off in the future, all our learning can basically be done online without the infrastructures of schools or teachers, customizing an education to the individual via online media software. Now, the ever-evolving technologies that Kurzweil speaks of in the article from Brown Bryan and Brown, 21st Century Literacy and Technology in the K-8 Classrooms, it strongly indicate that as teachers, we need to adapt and change to our methods of techno-application within our lessons as students expand their literacy domains beyond the institutional walls of their schools. Now, the idea of changing technology is certainly one that I can adapt to my own paper. I definitely see a time when even our classrooms and schools, not just pens and papers, will be redundant. I'll go one step further with even some of Kurzweil's predictions that linked virtual worlds that thoughts themselves may one day be exchanged without speech or written word, or even type now. That would be freaky. Personally, I love the idea of using the virtual element in class. I've always wanted to make my classroom more like a portal of exploration, using whatever technologies I can to transport the students into the experience, immersing them with sounds and sights, like a virtual field trip, and then debriefing in groups to talk about our experiences. Make sure we can link them to our relevance in our lives, and then construct something that cements the ideas in some form of relative permanency to be reflected upon and positioned as a station on the journey of one's understanding of life.